What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And we're seeing more and more stimulus coming from states, state stimulus checks, property tax rebates, and also tax cuts as well. And I got some new information for you guys here for millions of residents and who might be next. It seems like as we go forward, every single week, we're getting more and more states here. And with 2023 right around the corner, there's going to be enough money for states to do this again. It's not like states are doing this one time and then they're out of money. If you've been looking here, the states have billions and billions and billions of dollars. We look at the largest state, California, population wise. They sent out a massive stimulus check last year to over 20 million people. They're sending out another massive stimulus check this year to over 20 million people, up to $1,050, which is $350 per person. So, $350 to mom, $350 to dad, and $350 to children, up to three people. So $350 times three would be up to $1,050, depending on how many people are in your family. Uh, they're saying that that is probably going to start going out in October, but they're going to try to have it start going out here as early as this month at the end of September. So could start going out here in September. Yeah, and you could see here with a potential recession hanging over the country, more and more states are issuing stimulus checks. Is yours one of them? And here's some of the most recent details on this. First of all, there has been income tax rate cuts, which are favored by Republicans, have passed in 13 states this year, has already equaled last year's historic total, with still several months left to go, according to the Tax Foundation. Republicans control the legislatures in all those states except New York. Republicans tend to favor tax cuts, where Democrats tend to favor sending out stimulus checks. It's just, I don't know, that's just kind of the way they, different parties do it. Where Democrats who wield power accelerated the timetable for a previously approved tax rate reduction in New York. Republican led Arkansas was the most recent to take action during an August special session. A new law will speed up a gradual income tax rate reduction enacted last year and provide a one time inflationary tax credit. Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson described the $500 million package as, quote, a transfer of wealth from the government to the taxpayer that could not have come at a more important time. Interesting. Which states are sending out rebate checks, aka stimulus checks? At least 15 states have approved one-time rebates from their surpluses here recently. We've also it's honestly over 20 some in total, including 10 by Democratic governors and legislatures, 4 by Republicans, and 1 Virginia with split partisan control here recently. Democratic led California, which posted a record $97 billion surplus, is sending rebates of, as I said, up to $1,050 to individuals earning less than $250,000. All 4 Republican controlled states providing rebates, Georgia, Indiana, Idaho, and South Carolina, also made permanent income tax cuts. So that's interesting. Stimulus checks and tax rate cuts as well. Georgia, Indiana, Idaho, and South Carolina. I'll keep you up to date here as these go forward, as we cover these here in videos. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican facing a reelection challenge from Democrat Stacey Abrams, has been among the most aggressive tax cutters. He signed legislation gradually reducing the income tax rate from 5.75% to 4.99%. He also signed a measure providing a $1.1 billion tax rebate check with $250 for individuals and $500 for couples, which can come in handy for groceries and gas. He proposed an additional $2 billion in income and property tax rebates as well. And after a law temporarily suspending the state's gas tax expired in May, Kemp extended the gas tax break through mid-September, saying, quote, "We're trying to help Georgians fight through this tough time." In Colorado, legislative staff estimate it will cost 2.7, I think that's supposed to be billion, $2.7 billion to carry out legislative expediting an income tax refund of $750 for individuals and $1,500 for couples. That's a pretty good amount, $1,500 for married couples. The constitutionally mandated refund of surplus revenue, which means that states give back extra tax money that states have. I wish more states did that, so more states would share the wealth, per se, of the money that the states have, right? Along with a letter of Democratic Governor Jared Polis touting it as inflation relief. Idaho Governor Brad Little, a Republican, has called the legislature back for a special session starting Thursday to consider more tax breaks. I'll keep you up to date on that, as well as all these states. He's proposing to use part of the state's projected $2 billion surplus for a $500 million income tax rebate this year. He also wants to cut more than $150 million by creating a flat 5.8% income tax rate starting next year. Montana lawmakers are weighing whether to convene a special session later in September to provide tax breaks from their budget surplus, calling for giving $1,000 rebate checks to homeowners who paid property taxes during the past 2 years. It would also provide tax rebate checks of $1,250 for individuals and $2,500 for couples in addition. Wow, that would be really good. That is the state of Montana. That's a Republican state, I believe. So this proposal calls for $1,000 rebates for homeowners, checks for $1,250 for individuals, and $2,500 for couples. I'll keep you up to date on that. Yeah, Montana's Republican House and Senate majority said that this would offer help as soon as possible with gas, groceries, and school supplies. Yeah, so as you can see, we have almost on, and I think all of these states are new. Most of these states are new information. If you've been watching my channel pretty much on a weekly basis, we have more and more of these coming out here almost daily almost. We just had Florida Governor Ron Desantis just announce that he also wants to provide a massive stimulus or tax cut, or we're not quite sure yet. As you can see here, Governor Ron DeSantis just promised by far the biggest tax cuts in the history of the state of Florida. Now, some people are saying, be careful that this isn't a re-election scheme because he's up for re-election. And the state of Florida doesn't have a tax, an income tax. So, that's up to you. And again, be careful with this going forward for, any state. Don't necessarily let this change your vote. Your personal disclaimer there. Florida doesn't have an income tax. I think just like Texas as well. But they are sitting on billions and billions and billions of dollars. I think the last time I seen this here, yeah, Florida received different pockets of federal relief for its state budget from the federal government, which would mean from Biden, basically. totaling an estimated $17.6 billion for cities, counties, and schools. So they got $17.6 billion from the federal government. And then they also have a $22 billion surplus, of which almost $18 billion of it came from the federal government. So they have a $22 billion surplus, and almost $18 billion of it came from the federal government. So, yeah, he's been quick to, you know, blame Biden for the inflation, but I mean, you can let me know your thoughts on this. But I get a lot of questions on what will states like Florida and Texas that are just sitting on both the stimulus money that they got from the last stimulus package. States like Florida and Texas got uh, well over $5 billion, maybe even close to $10 billion, because it's based on population. The two of the larger populations were almost the largest. California is the largest population state, and then also that states are all bringing in surplus revenue right now. So even states that have no income tax are bringing in surpluses because of sales tax and everything right now. So, um, yeah. So what are states going to do with Florida has a $22 billion surplus right now. Whether the money came from the federal government, almost $18 billion, or not, doesn't matter where it came from. They have the money. Same thing with Texas. An article from July says that Texas will have $27 billion in state surplus in 2023. They probably have a little bit more than that now. So they have money to, and you can see here, the state will have an extra $27 billion in its coffers in 2023, money that could help pay for property tax cuts and other legislative priorities. High energy prices mean that Texas legislature will have unprecedented funds to allocate. What are they doing with the money? This was the highest amount ever. So let me know your thoughts here. These elected politicians, if you've been watching, we have over half the states now that are either producing stimulus checks, tax rebate checks, property tax rebate checks, renter checks, and reducing income tax cuts or reducing tax cuts. One way or another, they're providing money back to the people. Okay. So, in fact, if I actually probably went and like wrote it all down and actually did hours of research and looked into it all, there's a lot of states that are doing this. Okay. Um, I actually have done it all because I'm kind of just doing it one by one with different videos for you guys. I just haven't kind of wrote it all down and calculated it all and done the math or anything like that. But if you've been watching, it just feels like some of the states are holding on to the money and some states are helping their people more than others. Some states are sending out these $500, $750, $1,000 checks. Some states like Alaska sending out $3,200 checks because they're sharing the profits of oil. But Texas gets as much oil as, I mean, I don't know the exact stats here, but Texas is known for its drilling, right? You know, yeah, big oil Texas, right? So, and Alaska shares in its profit with its people. So, yeah, so hopefully we continue to see more and more states sharing with their residents because it's the people that make up the states, right? I mean, what what's the point if what are they going to do with the money? So let me know your thoughts. And honestly, it's actually really encouraging to see this trend because if we go back several years ago, state stimulus checks, like state stimulus checks weren't even a thing a few years ago. We go back 10 years ago, state stimulus checks was not even it just wasn't even, it was unheard of. And now we look at like this pandemic has produced stimulus check one, stimulus check two, stimulus check three on the federal level, and now all these state stimulus checks, some of which happened last year, some of which happened this year again. It's actually really encouraging, and we're seeing income tax rates reduced. Some of those are permanent. I mean, of course, they could get raised in the future. Those things could be irreversible. But it's actually really encouraging to see a lot of states basically giving money back to their residents. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. Click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m. 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember those times and tune in so you don't miss out. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And here's my new video about potential raises for Social Security of $2,400. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.